We
Yeah,
have
let's
about
start with our
15
introductions.
people registered, so sometimes they just want to get the recording. So hello everyone
Yep.
on the recording. So you want to start us off, Sam? Oh wait, actually I think
Absolutely.
I'm supposed to start us
Yeah,
off.
well,
Sorry.
it's let me pull up the screen share.
Okay,
That's
great.
my job.
Thanks. Okay.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah. Welcome everyone. So thanks for spending time with us today. We've scheduled this for an hour, but if we finish early, we're going to give you back some time, hopefully. We're going to quickly go through the opportunity for this year of the Colorado News Philanthropy Lab. We're going to go through a little bit about the lab and talk. You'll hear from our partners, the Local Media Association, which is doing curriculum and coaching and has done this for many years all across the country, and has really gotten this down to a science and has some really top tier coaches and curriculum to share with you all. Also, we're going to hear from Jordan at the Colorado Gives Foundation and some really exciting things that they've been doing with the platform. Y'all are probably familiar with Colorado Gives Day, but there's just so much that you can do with online giving now through that platform and really doing some really creative campaigns. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about how this relates to the things that we've done previously, and talk about the Colorado Media Project, the type of coaching and connections to local philanthropy that we can help provide. And then also just some refreshing of our campaign messaging and collateral that the members of this cohort will get to be a part of. So again, I won't go spend too much time on this again, but just enough to say that we have, as y'all might know, Colorado Media Project has been supporting newsrooms in Colorado with philanthropic campaigns since 2018, when we first launched News Colorado Needs in partnership with the News Revenue Hub. We evolve our programming year over year based on your feedback. And so we're really excited to have these program partners with us this year, and to go deep not only into end of year fundraising, but a whole range of other types of philanthropic giving that you'll hear from Frank in just a minute. One quick question I just wanted to address off the top, because you might be familiar with the News Colorado Needs campaign and the matching grants that CMP has provided since 2018. We are still going to run a matching grant program, but we really we heard from the folks who went through the Philanthropy Lab last year that there was a lot of curriculum and things. We want people to be really clear about signing on to this like learning opportunity. The News Colorado Needs campaign and the matching grant are going to be separate. Y'all are eligible. I mean, anyone in this cohort will be eligible, and this will prepare you really well for that campaign, but it's not the same thing. So just wanted to clarify that, and we can, if you have any more questions, we can answer them at the end. And then just real quickly, I think this is maybe the most important slide. What do you get out of this? There's a lot of energy that will be put into it. You're going to cohort members will set a fundraising goal in consultation with LMA coaches that's in line with the publisher's market size. You'll develop a fundraising strategy, prospects, pitch deck, and campaign materials, and a Colorado Gives landing page to promote your newsroom and your project. You'll meet with funders and other lab participants in person at the CMP Summit in on August 22nd. We'll help you prepare for special fundraising opportunities. We're looking at doing a special day with this cohort for Democracy Day, a special fundraising day on the Colorado Gives platform, obviously Colorado Gives Day, and the News Colorado Needs campaign. And then we'll also get the chance to contribute best practices and lessons learned for a case study and an industry playbook published in 2025. Let's see. I think,
We're going to hand over to Frank here. And Frank, I'm going to stop the screen share for just a moment so that you can have some FaceTime and introduce yourself.
thanks.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. So Frank Muncham, Chief Innovation Officer at Local Media Association. I have no idea what that title means, but I'm proud to say since 2020, my primary work has been building and leading the LMA Lab for journalism funding. And as we segue into the slides, we have now, this will be the 7th cohort of local newsrooms that we've worked with. So really excited to have that much experience in hand. We've learned a lot working with newsrooms. We've trained more than 100 newsrooms in this process of community supported journalism, and feel like we have learned a lot about what works. And so, you know, over 100 newsrooms trained, they've raised more than $23 million since 2020 to support local journalism. So all those learnings, you know, we funnel into this cohort just at a high level, and we can unpack any of this in the Q&A. You know, the cohort runs from July through the end of the year. We'll have up to 12 newsrooms, and the format that we have found to be most impactful is a combination of group learning, the cohort calls, 8 of those, where we cover the curriculum of the course. Think of it as Econ 101, that class in college that we all had the same experience. And then that curriculum gets personalized through one-on-one coaching. So you get an hour of coaching each month with a coach paired to your particular circumstance and need. And then we're super excited to be able to have everybody all in one place at the CMP Summit in August. Things you need to know about, like how much time and who's involved and what do you expect from us. You know, attendance is mandatory for the cohort sessions because we cover a lot actually in what it may look like a long journey, but it goes by fast, and every session is pretty cramped with content. Leadership engagement is the single biggest predictor of a newsroom success, so we share that with you so that you can think about, you know, at the leadership level, do you have the time to commit to this? As Melissa showed, you know, expectations include identifying a project and doing the work of the lab, which includes community listening and developing a strategic fundraising plan. And then this last piece, we call it our pay it forward clause, which is really just the experience is free to all the newsrooms, thanks to Knight Foundation and Colorado Media Project funding. So what we ask in return is only that you're generous in sharing your learnings for any case studies we publish, and then so that we can report to our funders, sharing the fundraising results you achieve. You're not sharing the money, you're just sharing the results. So Sam, if you can advance. So real quickly, a coaching team, I do think it's the secret sauce of why newsrooms who go through the LMA Lab have had such success. These are all stars. I'm honored to get to do this work with them and with you. Joaquin Alvarado, you may know, was integral in developing the Seattle Times philanthropy approach. They really wrote the book in terms of local for-profit journalism. They have 5 different verticals of reporting teams, 25 reporters funded through philanthropy now. Jennifer Preston, longtime VP of journalism at Knight Foundation, and now a coach with us for the past year and a half. Joanne Heyman is an amazing executive coach. I got to meet her when we were both coaching in the Table Stakes Transformation Program. She's been with us since almost the beginning. And Liz White will be leading this cohort week to week, and she is a player coach star. She was in the very first cohort of the Lab for Journalism Funding as a publisher, raised more than $1 million through a really smart strategic listening campaign, and she's now leading our cohort in Pennsylvania, and you will love her skill and her peer-to-peer publisher wisdom that she can share along with me. So what will we do in the lab? If you're interested and want to get a head start, this Pathways to Philanthropy report, it's 42 pages of light reading, captures what we think we've learned about going on this journey with 100 local newsrooms. And the curriculum will actually pretty closely follow the lessons and the case studies in this report. It's free to download from our website, but I'll unpack quickly here just a few, as we go forward, a few of the things we'll cover in the lab. First, important to just state our bias, which is we think philanthropy is not for every news organization and not for every journalism project. What we focus on in this lab is finding that sweet spot in the middle of this Venn diagram. Who knew we could get to use Venn diagrams after high school? Larry Lee, publisher of the Sacramento Observer, coined this phrase that I love and now use all the time, which is we're looking for that unity of purpose where good journalism responds to a community need that aligns with funder goals. And so that's the journey we go on in this cohort. We start with community listening. We've got a few examples of the way that we encourage people to truly listen to their community. I have to say, in my experience working with over 100 newsrooms, we tend to think we know what the community needs. In fact, in legacy media, it's probably one of our great crimes, is assuming we know the news and we know what people need, rather than going back to journalism 101, being curious and asking in an open-ended way, what do they really need from us today? And maybe it's changed, and maybe how they get it from us needs to change. So these are the kinds of questions we lead the cohort through to really create a foundation of community need and understanding before going into crafting a journalism project. So then from there, it's about filling in the gaps. Like, we start with who you know, but the goal is this bit of an eye chart here, but on purpose, because it gives you a sense of just how deeply the rabbit hole goes if you really want to build a community network. And guess what? Some of these folks will turn into partners and some will turn into funders. And then in terms of the progression in our lab, the next insight, if you will, is that one size does not fit all when it comes to funding. You're going to hear in a bit a little more about how you can empower the community to support you directly through small donation campaigns through Colorado Gives. But there are many pathways to funding essential local journalism, and we will try to build that house from the foundation up, starting with those small donor campaigns. But then how do you identify and steward potential high net worth donors? How can you partner with community foundations and ultimately develop results and impact in your community that can earn you national foundation and grant support? And so we finish with impact. I do think that's the secret sauce of local journalism, and why it's worth funding is we drive results. And I'll share a few highlights from past newsrooms just to whet your appetite. I mean, these are case studies of graduates who have applied these practices and had amazing success, not just fundraising, but amazing success super serving their community's essential information. So NOLA.com, The Advocate, the Times-Picayune, they got $1 million grant from the Ford Foundation to take their exceptional local New Orleans investigative journalism work and make that statewide and make it available to all newsrooms in the state. Another example of really building the house from the bottom up from Post and Courier, where they started with a small donor campaign. Advance the next slide. We called it Uncovered, and it was reporting on stories that were going uncovered and in communities that were undercovered. And they got so many direct donations. One of those direct donations led to that individual fully funding an entire education team at the publication. So that's the power of starting with individual donors, is some of them can become fully sustained funders. And then one last one, I actually mentioned Larry Lee at the Sacramento Observer. What I love about the Observer is small publication, but the longest serving Black-owned publication in the state of California. They tripled their newsroom by really applying all of these strategies. And so they were able to earn every level of funding, from small local donors to individuals. Their community foundation stepped in, they partnered with a local public media outlet, and they got national funding. And so this is a powerful part of an overall sustainability strategy. I don't think philanthropy is a silver bullet or a magical solution to the challenges all newsrooms face, but our experience leads us to believe it is an essential pillar in an overall sustainability strategy. So that's, what we'll cover in the lab, and we have a lot of confidence that this can move the needle for local newsrooms based on the results of those we've worked with. Again, if you're interested in the report, there's a QR code for the free, make it easy to get the free download. And really excited to get to work with newsrooms in Colorado on this project.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Frank. We are going to have a good chunk of time for questions at the end. If you have any that come up as you're hearing from our partners, please feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll address them as we can, or save them for the end. And for now, let me hand it over to Jordan to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Colorado Gives.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jordan Brown. I'm the Nonprofit Success Manager for coloradogives.org, which is a program of Colorado Gives Foundation. I know I've chatted with some of you one-on-one, and we've also had some time to meet in past sessions. So today, I'd love to focus on the big picture, why we're all here, why we're all fundraising online, and what you're going to get with coloradogives.org. That's complementary to all the amazing things you're going to be doing with the Philanthropy Lab and LMA. All right. So first, just want to take a step back and introduce you to Colorado Gives Foundation, because we are a unique community foundation and we serve both a specific area as well as the entire state. So we are dedicated to improving the lives of people in Jefferson County, Colorado, and also building nonprofit and donor capacity throughout the entire state. And so we're focused on the connection of people, ideas, and nonprofits, so that we are building together a resilient and connected community that is thriving. And overall, we want good for everyone. So that is our mission. If we dig a little deeper into the two areas we're serving within the state of Colorado, we are specifically serving and supporting Jefferson County through about $8 million in grants that we are providing to nonprofits serving or located in Jefferson County. And that includes essential needs, economic prosperity, connected and resilient neighborhoods, as well as civic engagement. So those are our focus areas that we are supporting locally. Our offices are in Arvada, and we also have free office space, I'll just mention. So if you ever need a place to meet, we are your community foundation. And so you can always leverage and engage with our staff to get additional resources. So let's chat a little bit about what we do statewide, which is likely more of why you might have heard of us in the past. So we provide coloradogives.org, which is a free digital fundraising platform. We also put on Colorado Gives Day every year, which we'll talk about and which you guys are going to leverage throughout your News Colorado Needs and other fundraising campaigns this year and through the end of the year. Of course, we're providing donor services. We are enabling folks to be able to give funds to any nonprofit on our platform. And then additionally, anybody can come to us for endowments, group giving, IRAs, donor advised funds, as well as stock and wire. So we serve a lot of folks with a small but mighty team of about 25. All right. So there's some primary ways that you can easily raise funds through Colorado Gives. And the reason we're here today is because we know fundraising online is powerful. I mean, let's face it, you guys, the media centers, the newsrooms, you are a core aspect of online fundraising. And now we are building a giving event and a giving platform specific to you guys. So I'm really excited. But let's just go over the basics so you know what you're getting when you're leveraging coloradogives.org for any of the special campaigns happening and your year-round fundraising. So you're getting that year-round fundraising platform. And you can do basic fundraising, you can do really advanced fundraising, you can do integrations, forms, it's all there, peer-to-peer, and you can also keep it really simple. That's the great thing about this free platform. It's easy to customize donation forms, and you can embed forms and widgets on your newsroom external website, which really empowers you to send donors where they want to go, to your external website to give to your newsrooms and support the amazing work you're doing. Of course, year-round, we are providing free resources. So you'll hear a lot from me. I'm doing monthly webinars. I'm also bringing in experts that are digital fundraising experts in Colorado and throughout the US to talk with you guys and talk about different strategies that we're seeing that works. In addition to that, and the resources that we provide, we have a full-time customer support team. That's for you as nonprofits, but it's also for your donors as well. So we want to support as much as we can all aspects of that online fundraising experience for you. We talked a little bit about the idea of peer-to-peer fundraising, so enabling people through these individual fundraiser pages to raise funds on your behalf. Everything that you're seeing here, everything that we're chatting about and have chatted about in the past, it's all happening on Colorado Gives, run by Colorado Gives Foundation. Underneath that is our technology partners, Mighty Cause. We are a trusted source for fundraising, and we've moved, as you're going to see, millions of dollars through the platform every year and keep data and your transactions safe. So it is a safe place for both donors and nonprofits to come to raise funds. And we've worked hard to make sure that that continues. Next slide, please. Sorry about that. So there's some additional ways here that you can leverage Colorado Gives to fundraise online. So in addition to you as an organization having an organization page to collect funds, you can create fundraiser pages, event pages, team pages, business pages, so engaging sponsors to raise funds on your behalf. So there's lots of opportunities here to really insert digital fundraising in all of your different campaigns and things that are already planned throughout your year. Of course, you can add matching gifts. Folks can set up recurring donations, and they can also access and manage those recurring donations independently. So they don't have to call you guys every time they want to up their recurring gift. We have a customer support team for that. Of course, setup is free, as I mentioned, and as many of you have experienced. And there's easy access to all of your reporting and data. And so you can access all of your reports in real time. And there's also some features for you to be able to integrate. So move that data into your external systems, your donor management or other systems that you're using. We see that 90% of donors cover the fees on Colorado Gives, which is amazing, around 93%. And that effectively makes your transaction fees incredibly low, 0.01% in some scenarios. And so that makes it highly effective and a cost savings to use Colorado Gives. All right, next slide. Just a quick recap of what we've all achieved together, and I think a great indication of what we're going to see in the future. So year-round giving, we are raising $69 million in 2023. And by we, I do not mean me. It is all of the amazing 4K nonprofits on the Colorado Gives platform. So it's working and people are leveraging it more and more. We've seen a ton of growth from 2007 when we started this program until now, and it is only growing more rapidly. Just on a high note, I came out of a meeting into this call today and we were looking at trends. And I know there's a lot of reports out there about the economy and what's going to happen in the future. And so there's some fear around people donating less or donors pulling back based on the economy. On Colorado Gives, we are actually seeing the opposite. While people are giving smaller donation amounts, they are giving more frequently. They are setting up more recurring donations, and they are using forms and widgets on the external website of a nonprofit to give. So these are all positive, positive indicators that while the scene of giving might be changing, Colorado Gives is seeing an increase in overall donations to the nonprofits leveraging the platform. Next slide.
I think that's the last one we had.
Okay.
Sam,
Any wrap up?
Yeah, Sam, while you're transitioning, can I'd just love to add one thing on to a note about Colorado Gives, the platform and the foundation. I mean, as you can see, this platform has grown in importance in the philanthropic sector in the state. And since some of you haven't been in the sector for as long as others of us have, part of the reason is that online fundraising, there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of platforms to do that. There's some like News Revenue Hub, there's, like all these different platforms that are existing in the nonprofit space. And, as a sector, foundations kind of have invested in this platform in Colorado. And you saw that because there's really no, the usage fees are lower than most of those other platforms that you will see. And I want to say that like the part of the growth in this platform has been nonprofits kind of coming off other platforms and going onto Colorado Gives because of all the benefits and the flexibility. You might already have a donation processing platform that you're using. That's okay. And we would encourage you to just compare it to the aspects of Colorado Gives and see what works for you. I found it very interesting that CoLab used to use News Revenue Hub. They're now using Colorado Gives platform. I want to learn more about how some of the news fundraising tools. I know some of that integrates with some of your content. So I'm not 100% sure how if you're using something very sophisticated, it might not be like an apples to apples comparison, but we should at least have that conversation because this is such a compelling and cost-effective way to manage your online giving. So,
yeah. And just to back you up there, there are plenty of scenarios. You're right in that we're seeing a huge shift from people just using the platform for Colorado Gives Day to them leveraging it year round. But there are nonprofits that say they are owned at a national level, and so they make the decisions on donations. They are using Colorado Gives and their tools strategically throughout the years when they're driving large amounts of donations to really take advantage of the tools as well as that low fee, and then transitioning back to their standard donation processing after those large campaigns. So there's definitely flexibility. And that's kind of the great thing about the platform. It can support you whenever and however you need it based on your campaign.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melissa, Frank, Jordan, for all of that fantastic information, for your enthusiasm and skill. Before we get to questions, I'll just touch on a few pieces of this that CMP is going to be contributing. So let me go back to screen share. There we go. So again, to reiterate, the Colorado Local News Philanthropy Lab is this specific intensive program, training and coaching from LMA with Frank and Liz and their team, hands-on early access support from Jordan and Colorado Gives to get this cohort of newsrooms sort of onboarded first and foremost to the Colorado Gives platform, if that's what's going to work for you. And it's going to be, all of this is connected to broader campaign and fundraising initiatives. This cohort is not the only newsrooms selected for this cohort are not the only newsrooms who are able to join the Colorado Gives platform and use it. Anybody in the state who is eligible can use that platform. Similarly, the News Colorado Needs end-of-year matching campaign, those matching grants from Colorado Media Project, it's going to be a separate program, all more broadly available for newsrooms, and also certainly available and incredibly useful for folks who are participating in this advanced cohort. On the Colorado Media Project side, we over the summer are going to be working with a really talented design and branding company to revamp all of the collateral that we have available for the News Colorado Needs campaign. Participants in this summer into fall Philanthropy Lab cohort are going to get to provide like active feedback and participation in the design of that campaign. So that's an opportunity for you to like play a real role in shaping the statewide campaign a little bit, and knowing that you're going to have access to some advanced collateral that really like helps you place your newsroom and your relationship with your community and fundraising efforts within the context of a broader statewide campaign. Let me jump this ahead. We're also, in our role as a pooled fund and sort of experts on the Colorado philanthropy side, we're working very closely, very hard to expand the universe of donors who are interested in, aware of, and know how to fund local news. The Colorado Media Project Local News Summit on August 22nd is going to be an amazing in-person opportunity to introduce the newsrooms we work with funders who are interested in already funding or curious to learn how to fund local news in their communities. So we're going to be working very closely with this cohort in particular to make those introductions to funders that are most relevant to you and help prep you to be able to make those connections and those asks most efficiently. Whoops, sorry, I skipped one. Let me go back here. Now I'm going to talk through a couple of administrative side things on the application process and timeline for this cohort. Eligible applicants for the Colorado News Philanthropy Lab are locally owned and controlled Colorado-based newsrooms. So you're here, you're owned here, you serve Coloradans. Both nonprofit and for-profit organizations may apply. We have fiscal sponsorship options for newsrooms that are for-profit and may need those. And we're looking for we're going to prioritize newsrooms that have been producing high quality, original local journalism for Colorado audiences for at least 6 months. Our selection priorities are going to be, this is maybe reiterating a little bit, we are prioritizing local ownership, local control, Colorado serving. Do you have a committed audience that depends on you for original high quality local news about Colorado? Do you have strong local leadership with deep ties to the communities that you're serving? Are you interested in growing and deepening those relationships? Like Frank said, incredibly important. Do you have leadership level buy-in to participate in this lab? And can you dedicate sufficient staff time and resources? This is absolutely an opportunity where what you get out of it is going to equal and exceed what you put into it, but putting into it is really going to make a huge difference. Do you value staff and leadership? Diversity is always a high priority when it comes to CMP selecting, newsrooms for our opportunities and funding. And is your organization relatively new to raising philanthropic support for local news, or do you have new staff members who could benefit from this training and cohort? Again, this is an advanced cohort that is designed to take newsrooms that have less experience and transform them into real powerhouses of fundraising. There are some newsrooms in Colorado that are already quite good at this, and for whom this might not be the best opportunity. But for those, we recognize that if you have new staff members who are looking for this kind of training, that may be an instance where this really does make sense for you. You'll have an opportunity in the application to sort of articulate that piece.
Hey, Sam,
yes, please.
Can I just add to that last bullet one subtlety, which is we've actually worked with a lot of newsrooms that are terrific in one. I showed that graph real fast of like 4 pathways. Oversimplified, there are more than 4 pathways to philanthropy. We've worked in the past with newsrooms that were great and only had 1 pathway. And so, so that would be the other thing I would add is if you have been terrific at developing, at writing and getting grants, but you don't have the other legs of the stool, so to speak. I mean, I think that's a place where newsrooms can benefit if they have not diversified their pathways of funding.
That's an excellent point. Thank you.
And the other thing I was just thinking of too is, if you don't mind me jumping in, Sam, that Frank was, as Frank was going through the case studies, Also, if you have fundraisers that you are working with who've never done fundraising for journalism, like I do think that part of the unique thing about this lab is that the coaches are really going to help you think of a project to go out and fundraise for that fits with philanthropic need. Not everything you do is going to fit with your community need. You have to find that sweet spot of the thing that everyone says they want, and then say, okay, we'll do that if you donate to us. So it's not always just the general operating support arguments that you're going to use. It's sometimes different. So it's a nuance, but I've worked in the fundraising field for a long time, and people jump around and they do different types of. I've done it for an art museum or a community development or whatever. This specific tactics for fundraising for journalism are a bit different. So if you have fundraisers on your team who've never done that, that would also be a good fit.
Yes, another excellent point. Quick overview of the application timeline. Applications are due June 19th by 5 p.m. So that's just about 2 weeks away. You can find the bit.ly link to the application here. You can scan that QR code. You can find it linked on our website under latest news. I'm going to send out an email to everybody who's registered for this and a lot more folks with this slide deck and this recording. So you'll have no trouble accessing those pieces. We'll run through a very quick review, and by Friday, June 28th, the 12 newsrooms selected for this cohort will be notified. And please hold Thursday, July 11th on your calendars for that lab cohort kickoff session. That'll be noon to 1:30 Mountain Time. Though that first session and most of the other sessions will all be on Zoom, with the exception of the in-person gathering at the August 22nd Local News Summit. Finally, we'd love to hand it over to you for questions. You can always reach out to me at any time. I've got my phone and email up there with any questions you have about the cohort, the application process, and having trouble with any part of that. I've got additional questions. Feel free to reach out to me, but we also have a moment right here to hand it over to you. Melissa, did we have any questions in the chat we'd like to start with?
Well, I just put in the chat, I wanted to note that the application is much shorter than the previous News Colorado Needs applications. And actually, Frank, it's a Google form, and Frank has used the same, and Liz have used the same application for their other cohorts and are asking for information that will help them be good coaches. And then just that's because we're just a heads up that we're now going to be collecting we've coordinated with CoLab and CPA so that now we're collecting for the ecosystem your financial data so that we can track kind of progress, your growth, hopefully over time through that one survey. So you'll only have to fill it in once. And CoLab, when they send you your form for this year to fill out the Colorado News Survey, your information from last year should be pre-populated into your form, so you can just update it. So we're trying to do things on the administrative side to make things easier and quicker for you as publishers so that you don't spend as much time answering questions.
All right, let me stop the screen share, bring us back so we can see each other. Any questions? Linda, we've got a hand up.
Hey, I asked this question in the chat, and it may be Jordan. I don't know if you're the person to reach out to about this, but when I went through the Mighty Cause platform, essentially I got a verification email back that had some questions, and I need to just make sure that I'm talking to somebody about what exactly I need, because I didn't get a sense of that from the response. So yeah. Is that dealing with you?
Yeah, let's connect. I want to make sure, first of all, that you're enrolling on coloradogives.org, not Mighty Cause. And then we can chat about, yeah. And then we can chat about resources, next steps, how to set up your page, all that good stuff.
Okay, great. Thank you. I've got your calendar. Thank you.
Thanks.
You did. Dave Ferry, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions here that I hope that we can get answers to as we go through the process here. One of the things is the Sentinel boasts that we do not have any paywall on any of our products. And so when we fundraise, one of the things we've looked at is whether we would have more success as selling some type of membership or some sense of belonging to Club Sentinel or something like that. And if so, how do we navigate the contrast between we're trying to be non-exclusive and we're trying to be inclusive at the same time? And so we've run into that in the past when putting together fundraising marketing plans and stuff like that. Similar to that is we are still a legacy news entity. We sell legacy advertising. And one of the things we wanted to know is how can we go out to, especially the corporate business community, looking for philanthropic funds and say, we want you to sponsor content rather as opposed to be a traditional legacy advertiser, and how we would fashion those type of campaigns and who's had success with those kind of efforts. And then finally is with bringing in donors. We have a unique situation here where we are a community-owned nonprofit corporation, and we have started selling stock in the Sentinel or shares, similar to the Green Bay Packers method. And we launched this not knowing what the hell we were going to do late last year and raised some money, and it went pretty good. Yeah. And what we want to know now is with those kind of innovative things or this type of philanthropy, we need help trying to identify whether that's something we would regularly want to do just to generate some type of revenue to run the newsroom, or whether we really need to look more closely about how the Green Bay Packers pulled this off, and they do kind of like capital improvement funds and look at that almost as a bond issue kind of a thing. And so we're looking for that kind of guidance and leadership into how do we fashion these campaigns to whom, and so that we don't cause our own problems with apparent or not so apparent conflicts. That was a lot, sorry.
That was amazing. I'm just going to do my 2 cents from the Colorado Gives Foundation perspective and let you answer the bigger questions. That was awesome, Dave. Thank you. From our perspective, or what I've seen, I should say, there are going to be different buckets or segments of donors, and you're going to have to bring them along a path. And so I think, especially for newsrooms, the idea of membership should be a part of all or most of your digital fundraising campaigns, because I think that's perfect. The way I envision that is that the membership is them setting up a recurring gift. So the ask is to set up a recurring gift. So there's going to be some people you can identify that maybe they sporadically have donated over the past couple of years, or they have given, small amounts in the past. Maybe those are the folks you're asking to be members. And then there's going to be folks that just show up for the events, the special campaigns, the matching dollars. And then there's going to be, other buckets of sponsors, volunteers, businesses that you can engage. So I just wanted to mention that. I think you don't have to choose. It's just taking a step back and looking at your entire network and deciding who and how you're going to activate those different buckets. But yeah, I would definitely lean into the membership. And that was my 2 cents.
Yeah, then I'll take a stab at it, Dave. No shock. There was a lot there, right? I have all the answers. You should run from anyone who says that. So, you're describing some things that are unanswerable, and you're going to actually possibly figure out through trial and error, what does the Green Bay Packers look like for a local news organization? So, we have coaches, I mentioned Joanne Heyman, who have a background in the table stakes program, which has a lot of design do, which is really innovation experimentation. So track and measure. So, one answer to the how far could you go with the Packers model is to actually design intentional experiments to see what kinds of adoption you get. We also have folks who are alumni that we're happy to bring in. Texas Tribune's a great example of knowing a lot about membership tiers and membership tiers as a strategy, right? We, as LMA, works with a lot of for-profit newsrooms who've learned a lot about whether you can, and spoiler alert, the answer is yes, and whether it is subscription or membership. Subscription is a transactional relationship. Membership is I value at a higher order of magnitude what you're doing relationship. So that doesn't have to be either or. I'm looking at Liz White, who, as a for-profit publisher, got different pots of money to your advertising question. You've got different pots of money from corporates who have budgets for doing good in the community versus their own transactional way of working with a local media outlet, where it's like, how many eyeballs did I get? How many sales did I get? And you can have a both and conversation there as well. So way too much, to like solve in an informational webinar, but that is literally the work of the lab. And I would say we try to match coaches to newsroom circumstances in order to get, the broad theory that applies to everyone. And then the coaching is to personalize the tactics and strategies that are optimized for your specific circumstance.
Yeah, and I'll take a quick stab at adding a couple sentences too. Like all the questions you're asking are because, and just to reiterate what Jordan and Frank said is that you have to think about it as a comprehensive philanthropic strategy rather than just, we're going to try this, we're going to try that, we're going to try that. So hopefully what you'll be able to do with the coaches is think about all those different donor types and design things that make sense together and don't undermine, because that's what I also heard you say is that you don't want to say one thing and then it doesn't make sense because people are like getting two messages and you're like, oh, well, but I thought I could do this and now you're asking me for this. That's important. Like you don't want to, and so it does take some upfront strategy. And I think, sometimes we're going so fast, we just, do the best we can. And hopefully this, if you can devote the time, coming up with a comprehensive philanthropic strategy is kind of where we can help you get farther along the road.
Well, we are experts at ready, fire, aim strategies, and it's exhausting. And that's why this is really helpful for us to, have some coaching that shows us best practices and keeps us from going off in too many directions with too few resources and figuring out at the end, well, what went wrong? And so we appreciate the guidance.
I'll also just mention, just while we're talking about capacity, that's something that hasn't been announced yet, but we're getting close to it. Colorado Gives will be offering anybody that's an organization on the platform access to Catch a Fire, which is access to pro bono consultants, typically nonprofit professionals that are volunteering their time to help you execute your projects. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I do not want to go through my database of donors and try and figure out what these segments are, you can leverage Catch a Fire for that. So that should be happening in July, and hopefully will help support you guys.
So you see why we wanted to start partnering with Colorado Gives to kind of help you guys get access to all these types of really great opportunities.